Hey, welcome back. Today I'll be reacting to another video by abaandpreach called The Rise of Lonely Men.
Yeah, it definitely matters because money security, financial security is important to me. But as long as we have enough money to, I don't know, go on dates and do concerts, fun stuff.
No, doesn't really matter. If he has goals, if the salary's not amazing right now, but he has goals for himself and, he's working towards something, that's important to me, but everyone's in different places at different times, so I feel like immediate salary, just as long as we could still have fun.
If his bills are paid and he treats me right, I don't think money should be an object because it doesn't last forever.
No, salary not too much. I'd say same answer as his job title. It doesn't really matter what you're making right now, but if you're ambitious and you have high expectations for yourself and high goals for yourself, then that's very attractive.
It is important because, for me as a female, I plan to be making a certain amount at a certain age, and the man that I expect to be with, I want him to be a hustler and a go-getter too, and the harder you work, the more you work, the higher you're going to move up, the more your salary is going to...
Yeah, people's career trajectories are not always as simple as she's describing them.
A certain amount at a certain age, and the man that I expect to be with, I want him to be a hustler and a go-getter too, and the harder you work, the more you work, the higher you're going to move up, the more your salary is going to...
That's just not always true.
And the harder you work, the more you work, the higher you're going to move up, the more your salary is going to...
Okay. Is there a number that stands out to you as a decent salary? Something that you would be okay, he needs to make this much money?
I don't think there's a number in mind, especially for right now, but I would say if he's not ever making more than, let's say, $100,000, then I would be a little bit worried about our future.
So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary for an American male is $54,000. So what she's asking for is far outside of the range of what the overwhelming majority of men make or will ever make.
I would say enough to live a life of leisure, in a sense, not have to worry about your rent, your utilities, stuff like that, but also
I hate to break it to you, but the overwhelming majority of Americans, even those who have well-paying jobs, worry about paying rent, utilities, and other essentials. I mean, it's part of being an adult, right? Most relationships do not exist in a parallel Disney universe. Every individual starts off at a certain place, and sometimes one individual meets another, and they have to make a decision about whether they're going to grind, invest, and build with that individual. I think part of the issue that some women in today's society have is that they want a man who is a finished product, right? They want a man who on one side of the spectrum is caring, compassionate, listens to them, and takes care of them. They want a man who's confident, assertive, humble, loyal, smart, funny, generous, and these are all really good traits to have. And there are many men in society who have these traits. Now, these traits exist on a spectrum based on the individual man you're with, but you can't on one hand say that I want all these traits in a man, which are reasonable, but then on the other hand say, in addition to that, I want a man who's making $100,000 who can take me on dates every day and take me on vacation and buy me a new car and buy me a house. See, you adding too much shit now. You doing too much. You're doing too much. The truth is, a lot of men are out here grinding and we're just trying to survive, like you. The fact that we're men doesn't automatically change the economic layout of the land, There are very few professions where one can find themselves making over 100K. I mean, they're talked about all the time, so it makes it sound like everybody is out here making more than 100K, but in all reality, they're not. And not all of us can or will become CEOs of a corporation. And I know it's tough to hear and it flies in the face of what a lot of these self-help gurus will tell you, but I'm just sharing the reality of the situation with you. Does the money exist to pay everyone a livable wage or more than 100K per year? Absolutely it does, but not when you have the top 1% skimming everybody's wages and hiding billions of dollars in offshore bank accounts while trying to crush unions. If these women want men to make more than $100,000 per year, I suggest they reach out to a union in their jurisdiction. because otherwise you're going to set unrealistic expectations for yourself and end up letting yourself down. It is mathematically impossible for most women to find one man who's raking in 6 figures every year. Thankfully, some of these girls have given me hope because, you know, the one girl said, I just want my man to make enough money for us to go out on dates and go to concerts every once in a while. And then the other woman, I forgot what she said.
Do like concerts, like fun stuff.
No, doesn't really matter. If he has goals, like if the salary's not amazing right now, but he has goals for himself and, you know, he's working towards something that's important to me, but everyone's in different places at different times. So I feel like immediate salary, just as long as we could still have fun.
Yeah, that sounds completely fair. Now, who knows? Her version of fun might be traveling between Turks and Caicos, Jamaica, and Barbados on a 3-week vacation. But I'm assuming that's not what she means when she says, and we can still have fun. So I like her disposition.
I would say enough to live a life of leisure, in a sense. Like not have to worry about your rent, your utilities, stuff like that, but also
that's reasonable.
I don't know if it is, Abba, because again, most people have to worry about those things. We worry about those things on a spectrum, right? Some people worry about not being able to make rent on their apartment next month, and some people worry about not being able to rent out a 4-bedroom house. Others worry about not being able to rent out a mansion. But I'll tell you what, when some of my friends who get paid 6 figures a year still worry about inflation and how it's affecting their pockets and their ability to make rent and pay for utilities, I mean, at what point do we all recognize that we're all in this struggle together?
Obviously, a more desirable man would be able to take care of our kids, of myself, of our older parents. So I would say somewhere between 400K to...
Whoa. Oh, now I'm remembering. I saw a clip of her in another video, but I thought she said 100K. 400K? Basically, she's looking for a professional athlete because most doctors, lawyers, and engineers don't get paid over 400K a year. So I don't know what profession her ideal man is in. I mean, maybe she's running in like rich circles, but then again, if she was, then why hasn't she found anyone by now? I don't know. She's looking for a 1%er. 400K is an astronomical number, and I'd be extremely curious to know how much she makes. I also want to add this caveat, which is I'm not knocking her for setting her expectations really high. If she were in this room with me right now, I would applaud her for setting her expectations high, but I would also let her know that the reality is that unless she's running in 6-figure circles every day, the likelihood of her meeting a man that makes a fraction of what she's looking for is almost 0%. Other important pieces of information I would need to gauge the probability of her meeting the kind of man that she's talking about. I would need to know her age, her salary, and her level of education. Because again, who knows? She might be running in circles with oil tycoons and making a couple $100,000 a year doing whatever she does. But I just want us to be clear. Men making 6 figures do not grow on trees.
Where do you live? The bitch said 400 to the bar goes wherever. If you don't get the fuck up out of here with your average looking, oh my days, get her out of here, bro. And you saw how reasonable everybody sounded? Oh yeah, you know, it doesn't really matter. Fantastic, Cindy. Yeah, I make 50K. Not a fucking chance, you loser. Wow!
Jesus, Abba.
Y'all saw that? 100.
She said she makes 60K?
100K? You guys understand how high that is? That's like less than 1% of...
At 23, if I were to be dating a man...
These are the kinds of videos they do that I'm actually a really big fan of, because my hope is that a video like this would help men understand not all of us are going to be rich, and being rich involves a lot of fucking luck. So I think this is a good video because indirectly it encourages us to, of course, set high goals for ourselves, but to set reasonable expectations so that when we fall short of those goals, we don't fall apart. And that's often what happens to people who have super high expectations that don't come to fruition. And I don't know about you, but I would rather set really high goals for myself, fall a little short of those goals, get a little bummed out, but eventually keep my baseline as opposed to setting super high goals for myself and super high expectations. Because when your expectations are too high, it's just a recipe for disaster. You're too fucking invested. You're too attached to the outcome. No, man. Enjoy the fucking process. Live your life. Yeah, you're flawed. I'm flawed too. You have gifts. I have gifts too. There are things you need to work on. There are things I need to work on too. You need to make some more money. I need to make some more money too. But our paths to the promised land are going to be different. My path is not going to be the same as abaandpreach's. Your path is not going to be the same as mine. Someone else's path is not going to be the same as yours. And that's okay.
At 23, if I were to be dating a man right now.
At 23?
Those men that end up making six figures are not in their early to mid 20s. They are in their mid to late 30s, 40s, and 50s. Doctors, lawyers, consultants, accountants, researchers, they finish school in their late 20s, going into their early 30s. And even when they get out of school, a good portion of them don't make six figures for a couple more years. Think about doctors. I think during residency, they get paid shit. Like probably like 50, 60 G's, depending on the hospital or the clinic you work at. Lawyers, only way you're gonna be getting paid 100 G's straight out of law school as a lawyer is maybe if you go into corporate law, maybe if you graduated from Harvard Law, Yale Law, or Stanford. Engineers, depending on what engineering field you want to go into, you need your master's, and depending on the job, you need a PhD, which is 4 to 8 years of getting paid less than $30,000. We got to be humble and we got to understand that everybody starts somewhere. And if you add too much criteria for what you want, eventually you're going to end up disqualifying everyone from being in the running. And like I said in my other video, women like that usually end up living alone in their mid-30s, using dogs and cats to substitute human companionship. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But I just don't want women to go in that direction without knowing they're going in that direction.
She said 23? She don't know nothing. This is gonna be bad. I'm not expecting something very brilliant out of this.
80K is pretty good. 80 to 100K.
At 23? Do you understand that you get to that level of money like around 40? And a lot of most motherfuckers out there at 40 are not gonna be at that level. You understand that? So, beat game. Whew. So that's what they want. That's what women want. They want that. And then men are like, well, that's not possible because I'm gonna make like 75 or tops 80 if I really get there. But you want above that. But men need to step up.
Is what I'd be looking for. Yeah, somewhere around 80 to 100K in your mid-20s.
The fucking delusion. Most of my motherfuckers I know in their mid-20s are still in school. Those are gonna, hold on, those are gonna eventually make 100 by the time they're 40 at 25.
I think six figures is definitely decent for, it's a little, you gotta work hard for it nowadays, but
it's not about working hard. You could be a receptionist, which we need receptionists. Society needs receptionists. You could be a maid, a bus driver, a teacher, a plumber, a community organizer, a janitor, a police officer, a firefighter, and work as hard as you possibly fucking can. But there's a cap on most professions in terms of what you can make. And a lot of the ones I just mentioned, you're not gonna break 100, regardless of how much you work. So when we talk about like disconnectedness, I'm seeing a lot of it in what some of these women are saying. And I don't know if I could chalk it up to their age because I don't know how old they are. I don't know if they grew up in like really sheltered households or if they grew up in environments where all the men in their family were making six figures. If that's the case, then it's probably a little more realistic for them to find a man that makes that much money. But for most women, it's not.
Definitely decent for, it's a little, you gotta work hard for it nowadays, but for an income, you know, to create a family.
The fact that people still think the amount of income you earn is based on meritocracy is fucking crazy to me.
Things of that nature, like at least 100,000 is acceptable.
Okay, and you motherfuckers don't understand why Andrew Tate exists. You don't understand why the red pill exists.
You don't understand why these extremes exist because you got that extreme.
This reminds me of a girl I used to go out with. She was a school teacher, and she said, I don't think I would ever consider having a kid until our combined income is at least $300,000 a year. And I'm thinking, first of all, why are you talking to me about kids? I don't want to have a child with you. And second of all, after hearing you say that, I really don't want to have a child with you. Because unless you're going to go into a profession that pays you six figures, you're putting an immense amount of pressure on me that, to be honest, I feel super uncomfortable with. And she said it so nonchalant. So I told her right then and there, the likelihood of someone like me in my profession making that amount of money is extremely slim. I would have to make drastic lifestyle changes in order to even have a shot at making, over $150,000 a year. And even then, it would probably take at least 10 years for me to make that much money in a profession that I hate. Why? Because you want a fucking child? By the time that 10 years is up, you won't even be able to have kids anymore because you're damn near 30. So it was a weird conversation. It just felt like we didn't live in the same universe. It made me feel super uneasy because no decent guy wants to be seen by his significant other as a bank account. It feels dehumanizing.
I don't agree with that extreme, but I don't agree with that extreme either. But they're the correlation. That's the reason why.
Therapist slammed for saying lonely men need to step up in dating.
This hate mail from men. Why?
Dude, fuck you. I don't even know what this guy's getting ready to say, but I could already tell I'm not gonna like it. When you get paid to be empathetic and help people work through their issues, but instead you're so fucking emotionally fragile that when you receive a couple mean emails, you make a fucking TikTok video trying to play the victim. I already know the direction this motherfucker is going in. He's gonna place the spotlight on himself, and he's gonna play the victim, and he's gonna say, I don't know why I'm getting hate mail. I don't know why these guys are mad at me. You're a highly educated, high income earning, pretentious piece of shit who is out of touch with the issues that ordinary men face on a daily basis. You're gonna sit on your high horse and fucking preach to people.
When all I'm doing is asking you to be the best version of yourself. That's all.
Fuck you.
That's all I'm inviting you to do, my brothers.
The fact that this motherfucker is a doctor who's probably earning 4 times as much as I'm earning to listen and be empathetic and relatable, and he's not doing that, it's really bothering me.
All I'm inviting you to do is just be the best version of yourself.
Be the best version.
What did he...
Fuck you, dude. What the fuck does that even mean at this point? How many times have people said, just be the best version of yourself, bro? Be the best version. People need help. They need guidance. They want to know how. They're fucking stuck in these stupid fucking tropes. They're not fucking helping anybody. Oh, jeez.
initially say?
So, the rise of lonely single men. Dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as relationship standards rise. Men represent approximately 62% of dating app users, lowering their chances for matches. Men need to address skills deficits to meet.
It's not a fucking skill deficiency. Men are not getting paid enough. Men's career prospects have declined, and not enough men are enrolling in college, which is where you go in your late teens and 20s to socialize with people, to find relationships, to network, to develop skills.
A healthier relationship expectation. Here are the 3 broad trends in the relationship landscape that suggest that heterosexual men are in for a rough road.
The research might not be garbage, but the article that's interpreting the research is fucking garbage.
Landscape that suggests that heterosexual men are in for a rough road. Dating apps. 60% of users are men, and women are overwhelmed by the number of options they have. Competition online is fierce, and lucky in-person chance encounters with dream partners are rarer than ever. I hear reoccurring dating themes from women between the ages of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available, who are good communicators.
I hear. Who's saying this? Is she getting it from the study, or now is this person giving their own opinion? I need to read this article myself.
Men between the ages of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available.
Is that what it said in the study? That for men, this means relationship skills gap that, if not addressed, will likely lead lead to fewer opportunities and long periods of being single. There's less patience for poor communication skills today. How many of these girls just listed communication skills as something they would prioritize over money? Yeah, most guys do have shitty communication skills. But the great thing about that is most women's expectations for communication skills are low to begin with. They don't give a fuck if a guy has low communication skills. Yeah, some women do. But the women who are saying that they want a man who makes 6 figures or more are not dismissing guys because of their communication skills. They're dismissing them because they make less than 6 figures.
Who are good communicators and who share their values. Skill deficits. For men, this means a relationship skill gap. There's less patience for poor communication skills today. The problem for men is that emotional connection is the lifeblood of healthy long-term love, and it requires all the skills that families.
The points you're making to a certain extent are valid in that communication skills are important. Being able to cultivate an emotional connection with someone is important. And these things can build towards lifelong relationships. But how the fuck does that explain why more people were in relationships in the 1950s? There were more marriages lasted longer, less divorces, and men back then had way worse communication skills than men today. Back then, men were encouraged to have the personality of a fucking log.
Level up your mental health game.
Bitch, you labeling mental health as a fucking game? Dude, these people are fucking disgusting.
Therapy to address your skill gaps.
God damn.
I think this is the most triggered I've ever been reacting to a video. Fuck, I'm debating on whether or not I should even put this out, but in the spirit of authenticity, I think it's important. And it's important for you to know that I'm human just like everybody else. I might sit behind a fucking camera and run my mouth and make good points from time to time, but I'm just a human being just like everybody else. And this topic does mean a lot to me, so.
I'm not even going to the same place.
The leadership principle is simple. Always seek self-improvement. Always seek self-improvement.
You're not even saying anything profound, motherfucker. You're telling people to always seek self-improvement, but what they're hearing is you're not good enough. And that's the last thing you want to tell somebody who's going through it.
Self-improvement. It's simple to me. Doesn't get more complicated than that. I, as a leader...
You're not a leader, dude. Who the fuck are you leading? A good leader has emotional intelligence, humility, and empathy. Based on what I'm hearing right now, you have neither of those things. You lack the ability to read the fucking room.
Am always seeking self-improvement, then why would I not look to my relationships, the people that I care about the most, the people I say I love, and not ask myself, how can I love these people
Look at them.
better? Unless I was afraid.
You're a fucking wimp.
Afraid that it meant something. It meant either that I didn't know something, I needed to do something, that something needed to change, something would have to...
This guy is not a fucking doctor. He's a Hollywood actor. He has to be. He has to be some like low-grade Hollywood actor who's pretending to be a mental health clinician.
Something would have to shift. But why not embrace that?
I've never said this, but I've never seen a psychologist who talked like a fuckboy. Is there something good about wanting to love the people around you more and all this other stuff? Great. But he's not wrong in the sense that he hasn't stated something that's untrue. He's wrong in the sense that he's misrepresenting what the solution is to the issue because he hasn't actually brought up what the issue is.
There you go.
Because he doesn't know what the fucking issue is. But motherfuckers like that always love to pretend that they do. Which is why all of his fucking prescriptions were so vague. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't know what the issue is.
We are at a weird intersection in society. Women's financial levels has gone up. Women's ability to have education, standards, all these things have risen, whilst men have either stagnated or gone downwards. Okay? We only have each other on this fucking planet. People are saying, I don't want to lower my standards, so I'd rather die alone. And some people are like, I'll never lower my standards, so I'll take my chances. You got so many issues intersecting. And so why I hate what this goober's doing, okay, is he's just reducing the issue to one thing, which is
better yourself.
Go to therapy.
Actually,
it'll make your hinge matches
just
better.
pay me. Just pay me. Just
You know,
throw money
it's
at
like
me, the fucking charlatan.
It's like we talk about the fact that vast majority of self-deletions are men. Bring that up.
Fucking Hustlers University. The answer is to just pay me. Join my class.
It's genius.
You know, it's like we talk about the fact that vast majority of self-deletions are men. Men are struggling with certain issues.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'll hear like these big-ass female content creators be like, well, you know, if toxic masculinity wasn't around, maybe you'd still be... I'm like, God damn, is that the only issue? Is that the only issue? There's no correlation between fucking economy going to the shitter and men dying? No, there's none of that. Extreme none of that. It's just toxic man. It's the reducing of men's issues to like these simple things that I find distasteful. And as somebody who's a psychologist of all things, saying you need to fucking level up.
Yeah, a lot of girls have said that, and I actually just recently read the statistic where only 2% of men between the ages of 20 and 40 make six figures and are over 6 feet, which is like two of the things that women typically say they want.
Right.
But it's crazy to think about the fact that there's only 2% of men
that are out there.
Making that much, yeah.
I'll take a short guy that makes $1 million all day long.
This biz went more ridiculous. Okay. The reason why I'm playing this is when I hear goofy people like Greg Matos come out here and write these articles about the rise of lonely men and how they need to up their skills. It's such a singular issue within the greater dynamic, everything. This is not mad at women having higher standards. This is not me mad at men fucking not doing better. It's none of that. I'm saying this shit is complicated.
Yes.
This shit is complicated. Think about the fact that some of these women, okay, are now going to be the primary breadwinners, right? They're going to be making six figures and above, fully capable of sustaining a family themselves, yet now that they've made all this extra money and sacrificed a lot of their dating experiences and their relationship life and their early childbearing years, okay? Now they sacrifice that. They still, even though they've usurped the gender roles through their own choices that they should have based off their income, they're not ready to take the man's role that the men have always held in terms of being the primary breadwinner. No, they're saying, you gotta be at my level. So you have to understand, this has completely flipped the world upside down in a lot of ways. Again, go make your money, do whatever you want, but we gotta be honest about some of the issues that exist in our dating landscape. And it's not just men need to up their skills. I just want to say that. And you look at his comment section, it's pretty much exclusively female. So yeah.
Okay, that's just what I want to.
That pussy is pandering. Fuck him.
Jackson with a degree.
Yeah, that's
shoutouts. Okay,
degree Jackson.
Yes. And listen, I don't trust anybody with that fucking kind of Boston, New York accent he got going on there. So, but yeah, I can't stand a lot of this stuff. It's just distasteful. So you guys saw it yourself. People who think they're reasonable aren't. Okay, a lot of dudes who think that they got reasonable demands aren't. It's kind of like that fucking loser who's making TikTok videos from his mom's basement talking about what a woman's got to do for him. Bruh, you haven't even left her basement. You don't make no money. Why you telling women what they got to do for you, right? So there's a lot of that on socials, and I think issues are complicated. So that's it. What do you think?
Not because you got a degree that you
should apparently not. Please comment, like, and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Peace.